All right, so for today's SNAC meeting, as other SNAC meetings, we always do an introduction. So I'll review kind of what the agenda looks like for those of you that are new. In your introduction, if you could say your name, an organization or affiliation with the special needs community. And since we haven't seen each other for a while and it's a new year, if you could give us any updates on what's happening with your organization, any events, any programs, anything that you're looking to gain out of this group, you can do so as part of your introduction. We kind of take it easy on our introductions and love to share. Okay, Jennifer, no problem. So Jennifer's going to introduce herself in the chat, and if you are having any issues with your mic or camera or whatnot, you can do that as well, and I can read it out for you. So I'm going to go in order of folks that we have on here. So starting with myself, my name is Carrie Morse, and I'm a consultant working with Unicorn Children's Foundation, obviously overseeing the planning for this meeting and also program development. That is my specialty area for adults and transition age youth with special needs. So I'm really excited to see you all every month and work collaboratively together with you. And I'll hand it off to Sharon.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I'm Sharon Alexander. I'm the CEO of Unicorn Children's Foundation. Some exciting times ahead. Would really wish COVID would get under control. That seems to be impacting all of us right now. If anybody's interested, we've got a walk coming up on this Sunday in Boca Raton if you want to join Team Unicorn. And we've got a gala at the Seminole Hard Rock Hotel and Casino on March 26th. So anybody who would like to attend, we have some really exciting entertainment. Josh Blue, who is he's a comic with cerebral palsy. So he's, really related to our mission, and we're hoping for a great turnout, a great night, and no COVID. So.
Thanks. And for those of you that see the SNAC newsletter, Unicorn is starting virtual programs on Monday. We've postponed our in-person programs, hopefully until numbers decrease in Palm Beach County. Next up, thanks, Sharon. Jack Kosick. Hey, Jack, haven't seen you in a while.
Hey there, just sort of popped in to see what you guys are up to. I'm a special needs housing consultant, former executive director for Noah's Ark and director for the villages at Noah's Landing in Lakeland. And I just want to see what's happening and get sort of updated. Good to see you all.
Thanks, Jack, for coming. You'll be important because I don't know if we have strategic funders here relative to housing, so you can help us maybe invite folks that we're missing on our list. So I'm glad you're here today. Maria. Hey, Maria.
Hello, how you doing? Happy New Year to all of you also. Maria Rojas Lopez from the Early Learning Coalition of Palm Beach County. Right now, what we are pushing really hard is our BPK. The new season for the year for 2022-2023 started. So if you know of any parents that they do have kids that are 4 years old, for this program year, tell them to apply for BPK or give us a call. We can explain the different programs we have with the different sessions in summer, the program year, or the specialized one for kids with IEPs from the school district, etc. We can explain to them how to apply and what is the requirements, what are the requirements and everything. No problem at all.
Thanks, Maria.
Thank you.
Christiane?
Hello, everybody. So happy New Year. I'm Christiane, and I'm a senior counselor here at VR in Boca Raton. Our mission statement is to help people with disabilities to find and maintain jobs.
Thank you. Destiny?
Hi, I'm Destiny Rawls, Education Advocacy Project at Legal Aid.
Thanks, Destiny. Devin?
Hey, everybody. My name is Devin Mayo. I'm with Bella's Angels. We're a small nonprofit here in Palm Beach County. And our goal is to help families with children with lifelong physical conditions beyond what insurance covers. So we'll pick up stuff that may not be covered by insurance, like additional physical therapy or stuff like that that insurance may not cover, or trips to hospitals that insurance may not cover, stuff like that. So.
Wonderful, Devin. We just had a request for something like that for medical bills. So I'm glad that you're here. And I'm interested in learning more. Thank you for coming.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me.
All right, FAU ACI, who's here from your group?
Hi, this is Kelly Carney. I'm here for FAU's Academy for Community Inclusion. I am putting in the chat now. We have our applications open for students who are interested in applying for the upcoming August class cohort. We are a program at FAU for people who have left high school, so they've officially exited the public school system, who are interested in going to college with the ultimate goal of getting a job, because that's, you know, we want everyone to be making the big bucks and working. So that is our ultimate goal. So if there's any adults that you know who have an intellectual disability who are interested in that, we are currently accepting applications for August.
Thanks, Kelly. Jasmine.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jasmine. Like Christiane, I also work with vocational rehabilitation in Unit 21B. And not too many updates. We're still getting a lot of referrals from clients who need employment services. So we're working on getting those taken care of.
Great, thanks, Jasmine. Jennifer Harris is here with 2-in-1 special needs. Her role is a special needs advocate. So she has left her email and her phone number in the chat if you'd like to reach out to Jennifer. And she has a cold, so feel better, Jennifer. All right. How about Kimberly? Kimberly Jackson.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kimberly Jackson, and I am the Parent Support Program Coordinator at Grandma's Place in Royal Palm Beach, Florida. We also work with emergency shelter foster children, as well as a respite program for special needs children. So we assist parents with having a break and teaching them skills, as well as community resources to help them better serve and benefit their children and themselves.
Thanks so much, Kimberly. Simone?
Hi, good afternoon, everyone, and Happy New Year. My name is Simone Sterling, and I work for Easter Seals, the Early Steps program here in Palm Beach County. We provide services for children 0 to 3 and assist families to transition, if they need to other programs when the child turns 3.
Thanks, Simone. Tracy.
Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. I am Tracy Perez. I'm the Regional Executive Director for the Center for Hearing and Communication. We serve the niche population of the deaf and hard of hearing community, predominantly serving, I would say, the Broward County area, but we know there is a large need in the Palm Beach as well as Miami-Dade. So we're trying to figure out how to provide services in the Palm Beach area. One of the new fundings that we just recently received from the DeLuca Foundation is tutoring support services for the deaf and hard of hearing. So we are able to provide that to the Tri-County area right now. And you can contact our office. I'll put my contact in the chat, as well as we did receive hearing aid assistance. So money to provide individuals with hearing aids, assistive devices, counseling, as well as assessments like CAEs, which are comprehensive assessment evaluations for hearing. So if they need any services, you can contact our office and we can provide that support.
Thanks, Tracy. And last on our list, Valeria. Hey, Valeria. I saw Valeria a second. She may. Oh,
hi,
there you are. Hi.
Hi. Valeria Rosenblum, and I'm part of the wonderful people at Unicorn Children's Foundation to support in any way I can.
Thanks, Valeria. Thanks for coming. So, and last, I'm going to introduce Erica San with Legal Aid. And, oh, actually, Erica, Abby just joined us. And as Abby is connecting, Erica is going to share information about a new program that they have, Iep Supportive Program for families. So I wanted Erica to share that with everyone. And she has some flyers to share as well. Abby, I see that you just joined and we just finished up our introductions. Are you able to introduce yourself?
Hi, sorry, I was running late on another meeting. I'm Abby. I'm the Associate Director of Community Strategy and Planning for the Jewish Federation, and I currently oversee our Jewish Disabilities Network.
Awesome. We're so happy you're here, Abby. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All right, so I'm going to turn it over to Erica, and she's going to talk about the special education clinics that Legal Aid Society of Palm Beach County is offering. Thanks for sharing, Erica.
No problem. Thank you for letting us announce it today. I'm really excited about this new program. So we have a new grant. We're partnering with Neighborhood Builders and Bank of America, where we're going to be able to offer special education clinics. And what's really great about this program is, you know, we usually take cases where kids have a lot of things going on. There's a lot of legal issues, but this is more of like a checkup, or, you know, someone who just wants some help and support before their annual IEP meeting. They can bring their IEP. They can bring maybe their most recent evaluation. We're happy to go over it with them, make suggestions and comments, you know, kind of give them a little, we'll give them a printout when they finish it that kind of says things to ask about, gives them a lot of feedback, because anyone who's been to these meetings knows they're very overwhelming and there's a lot going on. And so we want parents to be as prepared as possible for them. And so this is really going to allow us to help a lot more families. And so very excited. We are going to do them virtually, but we are going to be looking for agencies to partner with, let us have them in their agency. So I know a couple of people have already reached out, and if you guys think that might be a fit for you, please reach out and let us know, because we want to help as many students as we can. This is like a really great opportunity just to make sure everything's on the right page and nothing's slipping through the cracks. So it is legal aid. So we do, all of our clients do need to be about 150% of the federal poverty guideline. And we are going to continue that with the clinic. But what all you have to do is call this extension, leave a voicemail message or send an email, and we'll get that set up. I would suggest reaching out maybe like a month-ish before your next annual meeting. You know, it should be on your previous IEP. And then we can set it up and then meet with the family and really give them some good personalized one-on-one advice. Does anyone have any questions about this program? I can't see anyone, so I don't know.
I don't see anyone unmuting.
All right. Well, if you guys have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. I will put my information in the chat, as well as the information about how to refer clients to us. But please send us people. We're really excited. We want this to be a successful grant, because hopefully it'll become a long-term initiative.
Thank you so much. And just for your knowledge, if you didn't catch all the information on the flyer, it is included in our weekly newsletter emails. So you can follow up there. And Eric, I believe you have one in Spanish. Did I see one? There were 3 flyers, right?
Yes, Spanish and Haitian Creole as well. And we will offer clinics in all of those languages. So we want this to be accessible to all families, so we'll make it work. We got to get a Mayan interpreter, we will.
Awesome, love it. All right, thank you so much, Erica. I'm gonna now turn it over to Sharon so she can update you on the exciting things that we have going on in the beginning of this year. We'll talk about what we're doing in the meeting today, and then what we're gonna do in February as well. And in the meantime, as she's speaking to you, I'm gonna bring a survey link. I'm gonna put it into the chat. If you did register via the newsletter, it was included in the newsletter. So if you completed it, that's great. And if you did not complete it, that's why I'm getting it for you, because we're going to use the survey information today as part of our discussion. So take it away, Sharon. Thank you.
Okay, so we're really excited about bringing this opportunity to this group and making sure that Palm Beach County has the resources it needs to help those with special needs be able to access services, obtain some funding support so that we can expand our services. We know that in terms of service providers, there was a gap before COVID. Now we're seeing an even bigger gap, and families' needs are even more critical. So what we decided to do was really bring together a group of funders. Carrie's going to share with you who we've invited and who have confirmed. Really excited about the initial response from funders. They're really wanting to learn from those of us who are in the trenches, really what the needs are, where the gaps are, where, as they reshape their funding priorities. So we're going to bring them together to discuss critical issues, innovative solutions that will help mediate the effects that COVID had on our particular population. I just want to stress, this is a non-solicitation meeting, so we're not coming in saying I have a project that needs funding. It's really talking collectively about our experiences through COVID. So, we do have the survey, we've sent it out. If you're not the right person in your organization, I really want to stress to you, we need to get as many members of the coalition answering this as possible, because in the February meeting, I'm going to be presenting an update to them based on that data, so that hopefully when they're reanalyzing their priorities and their funding priorities, that they'll take into consideration some of the data that we have presented. We're looking at data on service delivery. How has COVID impacted that? How's COVID impacted your enrollment? How has it impacted your funding requirements? So please, share with your executive directors, your program directors, your directors of development. Make sure that they attend the February meeting, because it's not often that we can get a wide variety of funders in the room at one time. Their response has been great. They're excited to hear what we have to say, but we need to have that data. So the survey is critical. So take some time today to complete it. Jack, even though you're outside of the scope of Palm Beach, I think your experience is equally relevant. We will also have Kelsey Johnson from Bamboo Nonprofit Strategies. She's going to be moderating the panel questions so that we all can gain insight into what their strategic funding priorities are, how they go about making their funding decisions, what their desired outcomes might be, if there are eligibility parameters, and what their partnership interests might be. I can't say it enough, when you're talking about obtaining grant funding, it's really about relationship building, and this is a great opportunity for them to get to know us, for us to get to know them, and really start, building on those conversations. So again, if you're not the right person to do it, I know we've got some folks from VR here that are state funded, so it's probably not totally relevant to what they do, but I think that you can provide some input in terms of, what you've seen in terms of people reaching out, what the needs are for vocational training. So we really hope that we'll get a really nice group. We've got about 550 some odd people over the years who have become members of the coalition, who have received the survey. For some reason, our email system is really slow to load. I don't know if anybody else is having that experience. We're challenged by it, and we're trying to figure out a solution. So I will be sending out a separate email from my personal email, or from my email account with Unicorn, just to see if we can avoid that obstacle of that slow to load. So we're excited today we're going to be breaking out into some groups, small task forces based on age stages, so we can further hone in on what it is that's important to us and what we've seen. But the survey is critical. Our conversations today are really going to be more of that qualitative input, but the survey is going to provide the quantitative. So really encourage everyone to complete the survey. Looking forward to hearing what everybody has to say, and make sure you're sharing it with those who may not be here today.
Thanks, Sharon. Sorry, it took me a second to find my mute button on the screen. So here's a list. It's just a really quickly drafted list of the emails that were sent out. We can also share them in the groups as we break apart into the different age groups. But I wanted you all to take a look at the names here. I believe, Tracy, you mentioned the DeLuca Foundation, so they were already listed. I went back to make sure as you were mentioning them. If you all know of any funders that are interested in moving into Palm Beach County or have success in funding Palm Beach County, and things should be added to this list relative to your topic, whether it be housing or age group, early learning, or disability category, hearing impairments, and communication, then please, let us know if someone should be added to this list, and I'd be happy to send them an invite, or you can let them know about the meeting in February. What we've done is we've set it up to where the Zoom meeting invite, when you register, you all are going to register as attendees, and then we've asked the funders to register as a panelist. So that we are prepared and we know how many panelists there's going to be. And as Sharon mentioned, we have Kelsey that's going to orchestrate the questions and answers based on the information that we're collecting today. And we've reiterated that this is a non-solicitation meeting so that funders really feel comfortable in our open dialogue as we move through the different topics that we'd like to address as a community. So, and
Carrie,
Sharon,
I'd also like to add, we're going to close this survey on January 31st. So you really only have, a little, not even 2 weeks to get it completed, because I think when we put out longer deadlines, people have a tendency to procrastinate. So it will be January 31st that we're going to close out.
Simone, thanks for trying to fill it out. When you hit submit, it errored out. I'm hoping that's not an issue that we will see today. Did anybody else have any issues with the survey? Okay. All right, so we'll try it again. Thanks, Simone, for your patience. Now we're going to break out into our rooms and we'll go over the survey together. So we have 3 rooms available and you can select which age group. I just did the 3 different assignments knowing that we have 16. So we'll see you over there and we'll regroup in about 30 minutes after our discussion, or I'll check in with the different groups and see if we want to come back sooner, and then we can share all the information that we've discussed.
Carrie, did we explain what we're looking for them clearly to talk about in the breakout rooms? Because I know you and I will be in different ones, but then there'll be a third. So
yeah, so
the moderator who's going to take notes and come back to report.
Sharon, you want to go in the early one? And then Erica, are you joining a room? Do you want to join the school age?
Sure.
Okay. So what we can do, if you don't mind me putting you up on the spot here, I'm going to send you this list of funders so that you guys could look it over and see if there's anybody missing. And then really there's just a few questions that we want to address, and Sharon had mentioned it earlier. We want to really talk about what your funding needs are currently. We want to see what other questions we have for funders. So we know we want to outline their eligibility criteria, what their plans are for the upcoming year, and what their partnership goals are. But if there's anything else specifically that you think we should ask funders in the interest of the group, then we're also going to add to that list. So just share with the group what you're doing and what needs you may have so that we can collect that information. You could take a look at the survey together, see if there's any missing questions there, talk about the answers to your survey, just so that when we come back, we can provide some feedback holistically for each age group. How does that sound? All righty. So go ahead, you can select your room, and we will see you in a few minutes.
How do I select a room?
Which room I can assign you? Which room do you want?
I don't care. We serve all ages, so I'm okay with any of them. I mean, I guess transition's good.
Okay. Valeria, where would you like to go? You can just hang out here if you'd like. I see a 561 number.
Look at this, early intervention came back in first, followed by the school age. So we're our transition to adulthood people.
They struggle with transition. I'm sorry, I had to.
That was good. Well, while we wait for them, Erica, I saw you got out of the country finally.
No, I didn't.
I thought I saw pictures where you went to...
I went to St. Thomas in October.
Okay, that's out of the country.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to Italy and Germany over break, but it got canceled.
Hi, everyone. All right, do we have everybody here from the 3 rooms? I believe so. Yes, it looks like it. All right, so Sharon, let's start with the babies.
All right, so with the babies, one of our big challenges is they're not available or eligible for vaccines right now. So, you know, COVID really has a very significant impact. In fact, sadly, they've had some loss in that age group. And so what we're seeing in terms of the challenges, obviously virtual services have increased because most of the providers are doing remote. Early steps in particular has seen a decrease in their caseload because when you're thinking about birth to 3, that's a lot of parent coaching and in-home services. So they've actually seen a reduction in their caseload, which that's going to be alarming a couple of years down the road because we've got kids losing access to that early intervention. It's also affecting the early identification, which obviously affects the early intervention and then later progress. ELC is actually seeing an increase in need for services because people need to get back to work, and without childcare, you can't get back to work. But the families are concerned about coming in person because their kids aren't vaccinated. There's a lot of concern with this, or there's uncertainty with this postponing. Like, you know, we plan, then we have to postpone or we reschedule, and then we have to it's just this constant cycle of plan, postponing, rescheduling, and just trying to figure it out. So I don't know how much we can do on that one. I think we're all experiencing that. ELC is also seeing that there are not enough providers or facilities to place the kids. Some of their vendors didn't survive COVID. So it's now you're struggling to reach out to see what other facilities you can access. Individuals having to cancel because they've been exposed to COVID. So you've got placements, but then they can't access the placement because they've contracted COVID. So the challenge there is really obtaining the enrollment criteria for the funding source. It's not so much that they don't have the numbers of people interested, but if you can't get them enrolled, then their funding entities are sort of dinging them on that. Real challenge with keeping connections in this virtual world, and I think we can all agree that that's been problematic. Staff burnout. We've got, I believe, I heard that there were 22 2-year-olds in a classroom. I mean, that just seems absurd, but you have staff that aren't available because they're sick with COVID, they're at home because they have no childcare. And so everybody's trying to do the best they can, but I mean, that just seems like a nightmare for us. In terms of our needs from funders, we had a really interesting group because we had some who were funded by Department of Ed, some who are funded, through the state, through Medicaid. So not everybody was really eligible to seek that funding from traditional foundations. But if we were to have them fill some gaps, what we talked about is flexibility from funders on outcome reporting, right? So if we're not meeting enrollment numbers, we need some flexibility from those funding entities to say, okay, we understand that. If we say we're going to place a certain number of kids in our programs and that doesn't happen, not because of our lack of effort, we need the funders to be understanding that parents are self-selecting themselves in and out of programs. We've got a lot of communities, underserved communities that don't have access to online. And so if we're all doing this virtually, how are we able to support those families? Can we get funding that really targets those areas and makes technology accessible? We talked about those who are falling through that hole, right? So a lot of our requirements for eligible, wealthy, you can pay for them on, but what have that working class that falls outside of that scope of funding eligibility? So really, if we could figure out a way to increase assistance for that group that's falling through the holes there. Priority needs from the clients that we're hearing is information and referral, and that this is consistent from our 2015 community needs assessment. They need enrollment in childcare. They want the summer camp options for those with behavioral challenges. I mean, we need to start looking at that. That's we're hearing from families. The direct support for families. We know there's a shortage of providers out there, but families really, as they've been isolated for, gosh, the last 2 years now, that direct support is lacking. They really would like therapeutic services, which again goes into the direct support. A big one was emotional support for families. I think we could all use some emotional support right now, and concerns about what's going to happen to, you know, the emotional, social, or the social emotional learning for these younger kids, and how's that going to impact them, you know, going forward. So behavioral support, emotional support, not just for the families, but also for the service providers and all of us. So I think if our funders could take a look at maybe prioritizing some of those supports would be great. We talked about how concerned we were with mental health of our clients. And on a scale of 1 to 5, everyone said 5. You know, they're isolated, they don't have access to the services. Same thing with physical health and safety, especially when you're very new to entering the system of care, and to now not be able to have those direct one-on-one connections, it's a challenge. And being able to maintain that contact or those connections with families in this remote world has been a challenge. So that kind of sums up where we are. Again, you know, these are the babies that don't have access to the vaccine. So it's made it really challenging because parents are self-selecting their children out of programs and services, and then what's going to be the long-term impact on that.
Yeah, that's so important. Erica, school age, I'm just picturing elementary, middle, and high schools using auditoriums and gymnasiums to house students at this point when half of their staff is calling out absent. So I cannot imagine our special needs students in those scenarios, but what did you guys discuss?
So we were a very small group, so we were not as detailed as Sharon, but we did have a lot of overlapping feedback. We definitely talked about the staffing shortages, and, you know, special education was already very low staffed. And so that's only grown exponentially, and it creates a real rock and hard place because you might be able to get the kid the service, but they have no one to deliver it. And, you know, and then where are they going to go in the community? Where is the tutoring? Is there free or low or, you know, reduced price services? And it's very hard because unless you're very wealthy, it's very hard to find help, because people who are very wealthy, they make tutoring pods and whatnot. And a lot of kids are getting left behind. And I can't begrudge a teacher for doing a tutoring pod. They make a lot more money and it's a lot easier, you know? And so we talked a lot about that. You know, we also talked about, you know, the shifts for the children. We're really concerned about mental health overall. You know, kids are really struggling. There are kids in 2nd grade, I think we said, who have never had a normal year of school. You know, people are missing out on opportunities, you know, left and right. A lot of that social emotional stuff with the lunches, we're really losing on it. And it's very concerning because social emotional learning is a huge predictor for future success. There was a study a long time ago called the Tennessee STAR study. and it looked at kindergarten teachers, and one was considered a high quality teacher and one was considered regular. And the study initially showed that, you know, after like 4th grade, the differences in those teachers kind of faded out with the students, but they went back like 20 years later and looked at these kids' tax returns, and the kids in the high quality class where they had more social emotional education, oh God, I don't remember the statistic anymore, but they made significantly more than the other students. And so it really shows you that those soft skills are critical and we're losing them. You know, we talked about the difficulty in organizations getting new clients because families are isolating, you know, they don't want to come out to a fair and meet you. It's hard to find agencies or programs because it's small, and you may not run into someone at someone at school who will tell you about a program that they were able to do, and that word of mouth is gone. You set up an event and people don't show up because they have COVID or this and that, you know, it's very difficult to get that. You know, we do have a lot of questions about vaccines in children. People don't seem to trust information right now, which the demographic of kids who are school age, I think it's 16% right now that are fully vaccinated, according to the CDC. It's quite low. You know, things are harder because we're remote. Those were a lot of like the big things that we talked about in terms of, you know, agencies themselves. And the survey, we looked at the survey, you know, you ask about staffing. And I think one area that's not addressed on the survey is, you know, you said, has it increased, decreased, no change? I think turnover should be mentioned because a lot of agencies have had increased turnover this past few years, you know, hard to hold on to people and things of that nature. Also related to the survey, when we talk about, you know, how's delivery of services, I think it'd be interesting if you added a question about what were you doing before then, so we can kind of better compare what the shift was. Like, were you doing in home, or was that like not really your primary thing before? You know, because we did a lot more in office, but now we do a little bit more in home, even if it's in the front yard separated. So I think it'd be interesting to see that change tracked. On number 10, what was number 10? Sorry. Oh, what's the biggest concerns? I definitely think there needs to be an other, because what we really learned when we were talking is there's so many different organizations that do so many different things. It's really hard to succinctly pick a couple boxes. And I think a lot of agencies struggle with different things. And I think we need an opportunity to share that, you know, because this has taken a toll on everyone. And like you said, you know, some agencies are government funded, some are private funded, some are, you know, revenue based. And so it kind of really depends on where you are and where your clients are. But yeah, those are kind of the big things we hit on. You know, it's very hard with kids these days because kids don't have access to things. There's no consistency in their lives, and it's very chaotic.
Thanks, Erica. And I'll speak for our group. We were the adult group talking about staffing, so that's across the board. We were trying to always keep in mind, you know, some solutions that we could provide for funders, or new opportunities maybe to present to them. So maybe ways of increasing salaries. Jewish Federation is looking at that as a way to retain staff that are quitting and working for Target, you know, and going outside of the nonprofit or working with special needs. We want to retain them. We were also talking about an opportunity to maybe explore internships and really collaborate with the university programs on a better level, maybe loosening up their stringent guidelines so that, you know, an organization like Center for Communication can make sure that, you know, they're still meeting the grant criteria and the outcomes, but the staff do, you know, they can allow that time for training and oversight of internships as well. And it could, you know, work in their favor towards some grant outcomes. But as long as grantors are aware of supporting that, that would be wonderful. Also, we were talking about an issue with grants, and I know that that's not always the case, but some grants do still have the mindset of numbers served and cost per participant. And that's an area that we'd like to see improved because we want to see quality of services, specifically how we're serving each individualized family, you know, and what capacity, what does that look like? So the quality of services needs to be highlighted more than the cost per participant. We were all talking about virtual services. I think that I've experienced this and many have expressed this as well. Agencies did really well going to virtual. We all stopped on a dime. The whole staff came together. We thought of ways to do it. We pushed out services super quickly. So we're all really proud that we went virtual, and we've been able to pivot back and forth, depending on the need. And families have been pretty understanding, you know, in the big scope of things. But the issue is staff has been getting comfortable with staying at home and a more flexible schedule, and grantors are really pushing for the in-person and to return back to the way it was. And administrators and families are also looking to bring everybody back. So there needs to be some dialogue as to what staff are comfortable with and how we can really meet the needs of the community and our funders. For housing, we talked a little bit about housing. Jack Kosick mentioned that 105 group homes have been closed from May 2020, which is a huge statistic that we need to take into consideration. So, and then Tracy mentioned for the deaf, hard of hearing communities, not, you know, considering themselves as special needs population or, you know, connecting with those services, then a lot of that population has become homeless and not able to access the services any longer. So Jack is working on a housing group as part of the Florida Developmental Disabilities Council to really identify how we can, you know, push funding in that direction, specifically for those with developmental disabilities and intellectual disabilities. And he also mentioned that many of the planned communities throughout the state have really low residency just because families are afraid of what's going on. And so taking their, you know, adult child and bringing them home after such progress. So I'm sure those projects are finding themselves starting over at square one. So those have been some of the issues there. And I love staff turnover. I think that that's a really good point. Not only are we having trouble finding qualified staff, but we're also seeing some turnover of staff, jumping from thing to thing. That seems to kind of be our world today. So did I miss anything? Abby, Tracy? Okay. Thank you.
You know, one of the things that we didn't talk about that I think it's really important is, you know, what impact has, you know, having access to protective personal equipment or, you know, additional sanitary supplies, like how, is there something that funders could do that would alleviate some of that? You know, now we're talking, don't wear a cloth mask, but, you know, I mean, N95s aren't cheap. So, you know, is there something from a funding standpoint that they could do that really offset an impact, or is there an impact on the supplies and PPE? And is there something the funders can do to help offset?
And have we even considered adding those items to our program supplies line items? Sometimes we don't think of those things. We think of them as an operational line item in our budget, but really it's required for programs as a supply. So maybe it's we can shift our thinking as to make that request and expect that funders understand that that's part of what we need to go back.
When COVID first hit, Federation opened up an emergency fund to raise, you know, money for our agencies. And we gave a lot of funding for them specifically just to buy PPE and make sure they had what they needed, because especially back then, the pricing was like out of control, and they were, you know, coming to us and just saying like, we can't provide the PPE we need. And if we don't have the PPE, we don't have workers. So, you know, we made sure that we provided some funding for that. So I think other funders should be open to that.
I don't know. I can tell you in Broward County, we did have a big influx from the funders with PPE materials being covered. So if that helps you, I know we would kind of email into one place, tell them what we needed. They gave us like a list of what was available, and then each of us were responsible for getting ourselves there to go do the pickup for what we needed.
Great. Are there things that some of your partner funders, are there things that you have seen them do that you would like to see other funders do in terms of like the flexibility or working closely with you all? And maybe Abby, you can speak from a funder perspective as to kind of, you know, they don't know what to do unless we ask. So are there things that have worked with certain funders that you would suggest others to do as well?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I feel like we're somewhat unique just because we have such a close relationship with our agencies. So, I mean, we meet with them on a quarterly basis to really understand needs that are changing quarterly. And they submit quarterly reports for us. But, you know, we work with them understanding that they are short-staffed and they might not have the resources to complete the report fully, or, you know, we really try to work with them on that because yes, we have to report back to our donors and things, but, you know, we all are supporting the same mission. We want these agencies to succeed. They provide, you know, vital services for us. So, you know, we try to be as flexible as possible, but we have that constant communication with our agencies.
I think that helps. I know the funders that I've worked most closely with, and they see that the changes over the months or quarters. When it comes time to the grant report or end of year or the walkthrough for the next proposal, they're not surprised. They're part of it. So it alleviates stress on both parties. I think I also like your point in terms of, I just lost it. Come back to me.
How often they meet?
Yeah, how often they meet. Oh, some funders will put in their reporting, how have things changed and what have you done to either try and solve this issue or to handle this issue. And I think that that's a really great question, because although you do find yourself as an agency explaining, you know, every deliverable or whatnot, but it really allows you as an agency to understand that the funder isn't, they're okay with you changing maybe how you're serving to a certain extent, but they just want you to kind of think through it and explain what solutions you have rather than just proposing the issues that you have faced. So I think that that's a nice way for funders to have that open dialogue with agencies that they serve. Yeah. Anything else that you could think of, Sharon, that you need from us going into February's meeting? And I guess I could pull up this list of funders. Did everybody take a look at that?
I couldn't share screen in the breakout room, so we weren't able to actually look at that.
So this is the list of funders. Our adult group couldn't think of, I did add Jewish Federation there onto the list. But if anybody else has any others to add, we can make sure that they're invited for February. I also do want to add, some funders have declined on participating as a panelist, maybe because it's invite only, you know, for their solicitation, but they will attend and observe to listen to the conversation. So that's open as well. If you don't think that someone's appropriate to jump on as a panelist, they're welcome to attend just to hear the conversation and what the needs are in our community.
You know, one thing I'd like to add, Carrie, is like, this is a really bold move. So many of us work so hard to develop relationships with specific funders. And, you know, in the nonprofit world, there's often a tendency to hold your donors really close to your chest. So we really want, you know, we want to see options and priorities set that meet the needs of our community-wide. And that's really why we're putting it out there and we're sharing this as a collective resource, because what might not be a funder interested in me might be a funder interested in somebody else who's providing a service. So we just really wanted to be transparent in sharing this list, acknowledging that, you know, this is a coalition. The coalition success is only as good as all of our success.
All right, if anybody else has any other feedback, you have my contact information. And like Sharon had said in the beginning, we welcome you all to invite whoever from your organization would benefit from the conversation in February. You can pass it along to other organizations that you know might be, you know, smaller organization getting up off the ground and looking for startup funds and just trying to learn what the funding landscape looks like in Palm Beach County. I think this is a great place to start the new year. And on that note, we will be continuing to survey your needs moving forward with SNAC Meeting. So if anybody has any other topics that you think should be addressed, march forward, or if you'd like to present, or if you know of someone that would like to present at SNAC meetings, please let me know. You can send me an email and we can schedule that as well. Sharon, anything else before we?
I have no final closing words other than, you know, same stuff we've been saying: wash your hands, maintain distance, upgrade your masks, get vaccinated, get boosted, and stay healthy. I'm convinced I'm going to be like the only person left on the planet, because I've so isolated myself, that I'm going to be the only person not to have COVID ever. But I should knock on wood as I wait for my PCR test. So.
Like Will Smith at the end of the earth, looking around for the people that are left. Yeah, let's hope. All right. Oh, Maria. Yeah, same here. Simone, next meeting 2:15. Is that the third Tuesday? I believe so. Yes, 2:15, 2 o'clock. And you can go ahead and register. I believe both registration links were on that reminder. All right. Well, we will see you all in February. Have a good month, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.